train the Great War, the Birmingham Pals.
Thank you very much, sir. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Richard Cartwright, and I portray a sergeant in the 14th Battalion of the Royal Warwickshire Regiment. And before you today, we have members of two armies. You have members of the British Expeditionary Force on your right, and on your left, their opponents in the Great War on the Western Front, members of the German Imperial Forces. There are several units represented today. The majority of the men are from, on the British Army front, you see, are from the 14th Royal Warwicks. These were famously known as the Birmingham Pals. They were set up and recruited from non-manual workers in the city of Birmingham in the summer of 1914. They were set up on a similar path to the Liverpool Pals, which had been a great example to the men of Birmingham. They enlisted over 3,000 within several days. They did their training not too far from here at Sutton Park, and they then left for Yorkshire for a musketry course before embarking at the end of 1915 for extensive service on the Western Front. They fought on the Somme at High Wood, where they received massive casualties. They fought at Passchendaele, at Nieppe Wood, Polderhoek Chateau, and all the way through to the final 100 days advance in 1918. We also have a member from the 8th Battalion of the Manchester Regiment, a territorial soldier who before the war would have had a part-time job as a soldier, and the rest of the time you'd have a full-time profession. As you see on the man on the far left of the British line, he wears a badge on his right shoulder. This is the Imperial Service Badge. This denotes that he is volunteered for service overseas. On his right shoulder he has the battalion flash, which is the 8th Battalion of the Manchester Regiment. They fought the first part of the war in the Mesopotamian campaign in Egypt, before moving to the Western Front in 1917, where they fought with valour in the trenches and mud of Flanders and Belgium. On our left, we have the German Imperial Forces. We have two members of the 116th Hessian Regiment, who were set up in 1814, and they were from the German Imperial State of Hesse. Germany in 1914 was a collection of states, cities, and towns, which were all formed into a single nation. German army, they were formed mainly from reservists. Before the war, every German citizen would have to carry out 2 years of national service. They were then called up for further service once the war broke out. Now, the men are equipped quite differently. Now, the British forces, you can see they're wearing a dirty brown colour uniform. It's a lovely khaki colour. Khaki comes from the Indian and Urdu word for dust, and it is a very workmanlike uniform. It is very efficient, carries everything they need. And say, on the top of their heads we've got a variety of headwear. Some of the men are wearing the stiff cap. Those of you wearing a stiff cap, can you wave it up in the air please? This was the standard wear in 1914. This is what men went to battle in. Very smart, got a stiff peak, got a good collar, good cap badge on there. Very shiny. Replace your headdress please. And this is what the army went to war with in 1914. It's not very effective, and soon it was replaced with the soft service dress cap, commonly called the trench cap. Those of you wearing the trench cap, could you hold one up please? You can see there, it's softer, it's not got a metal band in the top to stiffen it. It's generally a more efficient form of headwear. Replace your headdress. The problem was, after 1915, we found that most of the casualties were caused in the trenches were head casualties, caused by exploding shrapnel shells. Shrapnel and explosive shells caused the most casualties in the war. So from 1916, anyone anywhere near the battle zone will be wearing the Mark I Brodie helmet. If you're wearing a Brodie helmet, can you hold it up please? Hey, this is your Mark I helmet. It will protect against shrapnel, shell splinters, and flying debris. It will not protect you against bullets. A bullet will go through like a hot knife through butter. Replace your headdress, please. The men are wearing a variety of equipment. Some of the men are wearing the pre-war webbing equipment. Now, the 1908 pattern webbing equipment, it is the green cotton stuff which I am wearing, which some of the men are wearing, is the most advanced form of load-carrying equipment, as it's called in the army, in use that day. It carries pouches for 150 rounds of 303 rifle ammunition. It carries water bottle, a haversack, on long moves a large pack, a bayonet, an entrenching tool, everything you need. It was highly advanced and it worked on a load-carrying system and was the envy of the world. And it was used all the way through the war. Unfortunately, we just didn't have enough of it in some parts of the war. So from 1914, many of the volunteers of the citizen soldiers who flooded into the army at Kitchener's request were equipped with replacement leather equipment. Okay. The man with the P14, can you step one pace forward? Thank you. You can see he's wearing brown leather equipment. Instead of separate pouches for his 303 rifle ammunition, he's got two large pouches which would carry 50 rounds each. Virtually the whole system is replicated after that in leather. There's a leather water bottle carrier, there are leather carrying straps, leather bayonets, frog. It's everything a man needs to survive in the field. Okay, step back please. The men have also adapted themselves for war. As the First World War is a great changing scene, the equipment changed to match. From 1916 and 1915 onwards, the men carried anti-gas equipment. This was first example. This would be known as the PH hood. Okay. One of the men who have hoods, please place it on. Thank you. Now the PH hood is a cloth bag which has eyepieces to see through and an outlet valve to breathe out. When you signal that there was gas in the area, you placed the bag on your head, you took the flap in, and then you breathe normally through the cloth which contains chemicals to filter out gas. This was first used at the Battle of Loos in 1915 and approximately would last for about 15 minutes under heavy concentrations. Thank you very much. You may remove your mask. Now, from 1916 onwards, we found that this was inefficient. So they invented what would come to be known as the first modern gas mask. This became known as the small box respirator. Okay, man with respirator, demonstrate your respirator please. Man removes his helmet and he brings out his face mask. It's a cotton mask with rubberized cotton on it, eyepieces, and the hose connects to a filter which will filter out harmful gas. Very efficient design, he's well protected. Thank you very much, you may remove your mask. Okay, the men, as I say, on the bottom of their feet they wear hard leather boots. The army made millions of pairs of them, and they work on the reverse hide principle. The boots are made with the nice soft leather on the inside, and the rough hard leather on the outside. Many were made locally in Warsaw, along with the leather equipment. Now the men are all armed with the Lee Enfield rifle, a very efficient design, first invented in the 1880s. And the first man on your left, he carries the earlier model. Now Manchester, please come to attention. Port arms. This is the magazine Lee Enfield. This is the first model of Lee Enfield. It was used in the Boer War, and we found that it was too long, too heavy, and it was generally inefficient. That long metal barrel heats up fast and can burn the men's hands and actually obscure the target with heat haze. Thank you. Order arms. So after 1902, we redesigned the rifle entirely. We came up with the short magazine Lee Enfield. Remainder of the men, attention. Salute, arms. Port, arms. You see the rifles now are shorter, lighter, they have wood covering on the barrels, and they are able to see their targets without being obscured by the heat haze. They're very efficient rifles. They were made all the way through the Great War and saw service into the Second World War. Okay, order arms. Now we move on to the left. You'll see the men on your left from the Hessian Regiment. They were equipped as German soldiers in 1917. They wear the field grey uniform with regimental piping. Regimental identification was on the shoulder boards. You can just see that they have embroidered shoulder boards with their regimental number on. Yeah, they're wearing on their head the improved protection which is given to them from the steel helmet or Stahlhelm. And this is a superior design to the British Brodie helmet, as it gives excellent neck protection. The men are carrying, say, leather equipment, which is a bit behind the times of the British webbing equipment, but still it does the job. It carries ammunition, a water bottle, a haversack or bread bag, and it gives them, say the ammunition at the front. As the war went on, they resorted to canvas replacement parts as leather became rare, and this was known as SATS equipment, the SATS or replacement or fake equipment. The men are armed with the Mauser rifle. Would you like to port arms, gentlemen? Known as the Gewehr 98 or Rifle 98, invented and painted in 1898 by the Mauser Company. It's a 5-round bolt-action rifle, very strong design, but only half the capacity of the British. Very efficient and did its job, but it was said to be a bit too long for trench warfare. Order arms. Now, on Cannock Chase a century ago, men were brought here from civilian life, and they were brought here to be turned into soldiers and into killers. They didn't go to the Western Front there to go and shake hands with the Jew. They were there to get them out of France and out of Belgium, and do what soldiers do, which is defeat and kill the enemy. And they did this mainly through aggression. Now we're going to go see a bit of aggression from our British soldiers. Gentlemen, as in open order, right, dress. Give yourself lots of space. Dress out, dress out. Very good. Squad, squad, shoot. Squad, well fixed, bayonets. Fix! Bayonets! The men have attached a 17-inch piece of Sheffield steel to their rifle. They're going to give the enemy the cold steel. Men will be trained in aggression and to scare the enemy. Because you scare that enemy to such a degree that they don't want to fight, the job's done. Squad! On guard! Point! High guard! To defeat an enemy coming at you from the top of the trench. Point! Low guard! To hit an enemy who is coming at you from beneath. Point! On guard. Left parry. To push an enemy's bayonet out the way. Right parry. Do the same. Shorten arms. That rifle, it's too long. You're going to stab him close and personal. Point! On guard. Point! I can't hear you. Give them aggression. You're going to kill them. Point! Very good. Section. Order. Arms. Section. Will unfix bayonets. Unfix bayonets. Section. About turn. 2 paces forward, march. Left turn. Quick march. We're now going to have a bit of a demonstration of the 2 armies' firepower. Section, halt. The first we're going to try is the German Mauser rifle. Now this, as I say, was designed and built in 1898 originally. and has a 5-round capacity. And we'll see how fast it goes when pitted against the British rifle in a few minutes. Section. Stand at ease, stand easy. Now if our German rifleman would like to prepare to fire, he's going to demonstrate the power of the Mauser rifle. This is loud, but don't put your fingers in your ears, just open your mouth. Yep, got 5-round Mauser clip. It's loaded into the magazine. Gentlemen, you may fire when ready. Very good. It's slow, but it's accurate and very efficient rifle. The Germans maintained its use through the Second World War in a slightly modified design, but it's still the basis of all modern target rifles. Thank you, gentlemen. You may fall out. We'll now compare this against the British rifleman. Okay. Rifleman, take the position. Very good. In your own time, load and fire. The British rifle has 10-round capacity. Just loading. Occasionally, the rims of the 303 rifle will lock, and it will cause a rim jam, and men were trained to remove these in action. Okay, you clear? Excellent, fall in. Now, rifles alone will not win a war. The First World War was the war of overwhelming firepower. And so, in 1916, the British introduced its first mobile machine gun. We previously used the Vickers machine gun, which was heavy, immobile, and required 8 men to use it. And the Lewis gun is positioned in the middle of the field, and it has a 47-round drum. And men would follow that gun, carrying extra drums of ammunition. By the end of the war, you had several Lewis gun teams per platoon. So British forces had overwhelming firepower. Section, left turn. Lewis gunner, fall out. Man your gun. The big barrel on the front is a cooling shroud. It sucks cold air through the gun and keeps it cool. The gun itself weighs about 25 kilos. Lewis guns were hated by the Germans because they were so effective at their job. When you're ready, rapid fire. The gunner fires in short controlled bursts to keep the gun cool and disrupt an enemy. Give it one long blast. Cease fire. Yeah, and the gun worked flawlessly. It was notorious for its jamming in the mud of Flanders. So I think that deserves a round of applause for our gunner. Now the British rifleman, as I say, was famous throughout the world for his accuracy and speed. And with training, as I say, 20 rounds or even 30 rounds a minute was possible. And in fact, the record was set in 1913 at 36 shots per minute. And I'm going to give you another brief demonstration of what a trained rifleman can do with practice.
Yeah, no problem.
There we go. That's the rate of fire of just one man in 1 minute. Imagine that magnified to a battalion size. And you can see in 1914 why the Germans thought they were facing massed machine guns. It was just well-trained British men with a rifle. Section. Section. Left. Turn. Quick. March. Section. Halt. Right. Turn. Germans, would you like to fall in on the left? Okay, this has just been a short demonstration by members of the Birmingham Pals. Our camp is open all day to come and ask questions and talk about life as a soldier in the Great War. Section. Slope. Arm. General salute. Present. Arms. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much. Slope. Arms. Your duties, fall out. Clear the field of brass and leave at the gun. Thank you very much.
Hey, Richard.